sportsradio.com. We will join WFN an hour from now on what is become a very, very busy day on a lot of different levels. We've got a couple of guests that we're going to jam into the show today. Albert Breer will join us on NFL stuff. Eddie C. on the Syndergaard news. And if you're just joining us, Met fans, I'm sure you've heard the news that Syndergaard will undergo Tommy John surgery, so a very big blow for the Mets. They were looking for a very big year from Syndergaard. Now, they do have guys who can step in, but you were hoping, if you were dreaming of the Mets going to the playoffs this year, part of your dream had Syndergaard having a very big year behind the Grom. And now you lose Syndergaard. So teams have to be able to accept these hits. If you're going to be a real contender, you have to have enough pitching to overcome a loss of a starter. The Mets do have people who can step in. We know that. There was competition in the five. They have depth in the bullpen. They have a couple of very capable guys. You know, Matz wasn't automatic in the rotation. You can use Matz. Obviously, Lugo can step in and be a very good starter, and he wants to start. So it'll be very interesting to see exactly how the Mets deal with it, but they do lose Syndergaard for the season. Robbie Anderson signs with the Panthers. I think that's a positive, not a negative. So I think I like the idea of the Jets going out and getting themselves some really new and exciting wide receivers in what is the deepest wide receiver draft maybe ever. So I like that idea. So I think now the Jets have to move in that direction, and I think that's a very big positive. I don't have a problem with that at all. I'm glad to see him go. So that's just happening, and we'll get to the football stuff with Albert in a minute. Couple of things on the current events front, and then we'll get to all the sports stuff. Number one, as you probably know, the market went up enormously today because we're close to, well, two reasons. Number one, the Fed backstopped all the illiquidity problems we've had in the bond market and in all the markets in recent days, which stabilized the market. Number two, we have the Congress is about to sign a $2 trillion bill that will basically underwrite the first month of this craziness for small businesses and for the American families. That pretty much is done. If it's not done within 2 days, the market will be lower than it is today. But they feel it's going to get done, which sent the market screaming today, up over 2,000 points. You knew it was going to happen. What I'd say is tread very carefully, because this market today lifted a lot of segments which have been doing really badly, and really there's no reason to invest in. Energy being one. I don't see any reason to be in energy right now. I know it is, you try to bottom fish and you think I want to get there before everybody else. I just don't see it turning around. I really don't. So I know it went up 16% today. I'd be very careful there. Housing, I don't think is that treacherous. I think banks, you got to be very careful. I think the financials went up a lot today. Be very careful there. Bank of America is different. I think they have a great balance sheet, so I don't have a problem with them. I think they're very efficient. I think there's a couple other banks you can put in that same class where you're okay, but a few, J.P. Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, I'm okay. Otherwise, I'd stay away from the financials. I would completely stay away from energy. I would be very careful about retail right now. In what is the bad news that is coming is going to be absolutely enormous. Technology you can always go to. It has not been that hard to hit. Just make sure the companies that you're buying now, if you are buying, and be careful, because I think there's more down coming, a lot more. I don't think we're through the woods by any stretch. Make sure they have a lot of cash on hand. Companies that can withstand craziness. I'm talking about the ones you can count on: Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, etc. Very solid. I could give you 8 or 10 of them, but I just gave you 3 that are very, very strong, and the mainstays, obviously, that you can use under any such situations. I mean, Amazon is already trying to add 10,000 employees. Walmart's adding employees. Supermarkets are adding employees. Domino's Pizza is adding employees. Walmart, Costco, all those companies adding employees. They'll all do very, very well in this crazy time. And I don't think we're through the woods. You're going to hear more and more, as you heard from the president today. Now he's targeting the Easter as a time for a reopening in the country. We'll see. We still have much more bad news. It sounds like to get through, especially in the hard hit areas like ours, which is by far the hardest hit area in the country. Not even close. I mean, of course, we have to be in the middle of it, but we're really in the middle of this. I mean, you saw Cuomo today. He was not. If you did see him today, he was not in any way uplifting, to say the least. I mean, these things are growing and growing very quickly. I mean, the numbers are just getting enormous and very, very quickly. So we still have some rough days to go through. I don't want to think anybody should think it's over. But I think if we can get a date that we all can live with, that includes the medical people, because they got to be involved in this. And I just wish we had slowed down not some states, every state. I would restrict movement completely, and I'd ratchet up those tests, and also get people who are separated from the people, healthy from the sick, and then we can start to get back to work in the next couple of weeks. And but we have to make sure that we can make it in a way that we have at least protected those that need to be protected, and that the hospitals are working efficiently. That's got to happen first. I mean, so hopefully we can get there in the next 2 weeks, because it sounds like we will be opening within. He hasn't given us a firm date, and I think he should pick a date and let us lead. I think there should be a target. There should be a plan. There should be a target. Everything should be, because I think we need a date to shoot at. But it doesn't have to be till everybody feels he's ready, and the medical people are comfortable with it. So let's see where we are as far as that goes. I got a lot of inquiries today. I think I can say it now. I will be doing a Sunday show on the Fan this week. If you see the weekend schedule, you will see a lot of the people who have regular programs on the schedule. I think the schedule's out. I believe it is. I will be on the schedule from 9 to 1 on Sunday on the Fan. The show will also be carried on CBS Radio Sports. I've never been on CBS Radio Sports in my whole life. I will be this weekend. I said okay. But the show will be emanating from FAN, be an FAN show, and then it will be carried on the CBS Radio Sports around the country. We'll see how long it is. I feel bad for anybody who right now has been sent to the sidelines by by nothing they did. So I feel for them. I really do. I wanted to see them all stay and do their shifts and keep the jobs. I hope this is a very short thing. They asked me to pitch in. I said yes. Obviously, what they did in a time where they needed to cut expenses, they went to the people who were under contract and asked them to do more. That's really what it came down to. Remember, there's no advertising right now. These companies needed to tighten their belt. They asked me if I would pitch in and do more. I said yes. So I will be doing the program from 9 until 1 on Sundays, on Sunday on the Fan and on CBS Radio Sports starting this Sunday, and we'll see how long. I am in discussion with them to do my Football Sunday show again this year, starting on the opening week and going through Super Sunday. We're in discussion on that. I think we'll have an answer on that soon. I think it's more than likely I'll probably do it, but that will be just on the Fan. Like I've done for all these years. They've asked me to go back and do it again. I've considered it. But as of right now, the plan will be, I don't know for how long, but we'll see. But as of starting this week and for the weeks to come, until you hear differently, I will be on the Fan from 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. and also on CBS Radio Sports at the same time with the program. Starting this Sunday. So I started to get calls on that the last couple of days. I guess it was kind of made the rounds on social media. The answer is it's true. And again, I feel for anybody who is getting sent to the sidelines for this reason. So again, hopefully there's not a problem. I mean, hopefully it's something we can get turned around before too long, because and we get back to normal. But right now, it's a little different time, obviously. So it's the way it goes. We'll have Eddie C today. Breer will join us in about, that's what the note I just got was. He will join us in about 10 minutes from right now. We'll do a little football with him at that time. As I said, I got a statement. Here's the Mets statement that I just received. The Mets today announced that Noah Syndergaard will undergo ulnar collateral ligament reconstruction, Tommy John surgery on his right elbow. David Olczyk, that's the Mets medical director, Dr. David Olczyk for the Hospital for Special Surgery, said after experiencing discomfort in his elbow before spring training was suspended before the pandemic, Noah and our health and performance department have been in constant contact. Based on the persistence of his symptoms, Noah underwent a physical. The MRI revealed the ligament tear. A second opinion was received. He went to one of the other top orthopedic surgeons in the country, and he recommended surgery also. Noah is an incredibly hard worker and a tremendous talent. While this is unfortunate, we have no doubt that Noah will be able to return to full strength and continue to be an integral part of the Mets' future pursuits of a championship. So, Syndergaard, Tommy John, now, guys do come back, obviously, do come back very strong from Tommy John. But, it takes a while. And it's, a good year until you come back. Can he come back and throw as hard as he does now? Absolutely. Can he come back as strong as he's been? Absolutely. He's been the pitch in, pitch out. He's been the one of the two hardest consistent throwers in the major. The other, of course, ironically, Severino, who's been hurt. But we know what kind of talent he is. He has yet to live up to all that talent. This does not mean that that's not going to happen. That's not the case. He can come back from this. But obviously a blow to the Mets. You lose a guy like Syndergaard who could be a, 15 or I like to say a plus 10 pitcher. These days, 20-game winners are very hard because you're going to get 32, 33 starts. And you're going to pitch 6 and 7 innings in a lot of those games. So getting 20 wins isn't easy. But what I look at is he can be a guy who gives you 32 starts and is plus 10. And that is a star pitcher. A guy who can be 15 and 5, 16 and 6, 17 and 7, that kind of thing, and be a plus 10 guy in decisions. And if you can get a guy to go out there and give you 200 good innings and be that kind of pitcher, he is a special pitcher. And Syndergaard is a top talent. There's no question. So big blow for the Mets. No question about it. We'll talk to Eddie C, as we said, in just a couple of minutes, as he will join us. As I said, Anderson goes to the Panthers on a 2-year deal. So the Jets obviously will be in the market for some, very, very new and exciting wide receiver talent, and this is a good place to start in this draft. Also, there's a lot of video circulating, and I'll get to this with Albert when he comes on, with Tua, and everyone feeling, more importantly, the scouts, the doctors. Now, again, he's got to undergo a pretty big battery of tests, but feeling that he looks very good and better than they thought. So I think as we get closer to this draft, you will see there will be. Now, I know that Giant fans are hoping that somebody will create enough of a deal that they would move him up to the second spot in the draft, and maybe see somebody moved into the second spot in the draft. I see one of our lights. We've had trouble with our lights recently. I don't know why that's the case, but they've gone on and off. I just lost the bank there, so you might have seen the shading of the show drop, so I apologize for that. I'll check it when I get a chance. But I don't think Washington's going to be involved. I think that the players that are going to come off the board, 1-2, are the same. I don't think that will change. I don't think Washington's going to do anything different. I think Rivera's got his heart set on making the pick that he wants to make. I think once you get to 3, though, there will be a very big market, and I can see somebody absolutely. The Lions cannot move Stafford. There's no way to do that. It would be an incredible salary cap hit. I don't think they would take Tua and put him on the bench, because if they did, now, is he talented enough to be taken there? Absolutely. Can you knock somebody for taking there? No, but you see, Patricia is under enormous pressure to win this year. So I can't see him taking a player that high in the draft who's not going to help him this year. I mean, that is not the way to get this team turned around. And the Lions are a team that could make big advancements, because with a healthy Stafford at quarterback, plus the fact that the Lions led in every single game they played last year. They blew more leads than any team in the league. They blew more second-half leads than any team in the league. I mean, they were puzzling in that regard. Just look at the 2 Packer games as an example. So they could have a quick turnaround, and I would think there's a very good chance they will be looking to trade out of that 3rd spot, and somebody will be looking to jump in there ahead of the Dolphins at 5, ahead of the Giants at 4. The Giants aren't going to take a quarterback, but they could trade out of the pick themselves and let somebody come up to 4. So I think the Lions will be in business at 3 in a big way, and the Giants can figure 2 quarterbacks coming off the board in the first 3 picks, which opens up everything else for them and puts them in a very advantageous position. Now, the question is, what do the Dolphins do sitting there at 5? Are they in a position where they have to go to 3 themselves to protect, to make sure they get to it? I mean, they could do that, give them another pick and jump from 5 to 3. And then the Lions still pick at 5. And the Lions will still get, if they weren't going to take Tua, they have a very good chance to get the player they wanted, because the Giants are going to select somebody, but that still leaves a lot of people, including a lot of big linemen, a lot of big wide receivers, even defensive players on the defensive front who could be picked that high. So they could trade, pick up an extra premium pick, only go down 2 picks, still get the player they wanted, and pick up another piece. That could definitely happen for them. So they're in a good position themselves, but you're starting to see more and more of the very distinct chance that Tua could be taken as high as 3. I would not be surprised if he does. As I said, we'll have Breer, then we'll have Eddie on Syndergaard, all that coming up right after this. So let's talk a little football with Albert Breer now. Albert, welcome. How are you?
Good. How you doing, Mike?
Good, thank you. All right, let me start with Tua, because the videos circulating today have him looking pretty good. Now, again, he's got to go through the battery of the deeper test for the doctors and see if that hip is going to hold up to scrutiny. But he is going to be the key to this now at 3. At 4, at 5, at 3, maybe. So, I mean, I got to figure there's at least somebody, maybe more. Even the Dolphins trying to protect somebody from getting up to 3, and they moved from 5 to 3. How big do you think the market's going to be for Tua when the draft comes?
You know, it's funny because it's going to be a little bit of a shell game, because there's going to be less information out there than there normally is. With the combine medical recheck not happening, with teams having an inability to meet with them, you know, you're going to have to sort of go on what they give you, on what Tua and his medical people give you, and obviously there's, you know, I mean, there's a little bit of, well, this is coming from his people, so there's definitely going to be a leap of faith that's going to need to be taken there on some level with Tua, and you know, then the question becomes, how much do the teams involved like him? And is somebody going to get antsy and say, we need to trade up to get him? So that could be the Dolphins, like just basically guessing that, all right, the Chargers are going to come up behind us. It could be the Chargers sitting there saying, we need to get in front of the Dolphins. It could be, I mean, I don't know, the Raiders saying, well, you know, we really like them enough that we're willing to take the risk, so let's move up past both of them. And that puts, you know, the Lions, I think, in a really interesting situation at 3. And the Giants, if the Lions really fell in love with, say, a Jeff Okudah or an Isaiah Simmons, the Giants then in an interesting situation at 4 if he is to slip. And so I mean, there's the normal intrigue, Mike, like there always is over, what's going to happen with, where a player's stock is on each team's board and everything else. But I'd say even more so now, just because, teams will probably have maybe a little bit of a different take on the information they get on Tua.
All right, in the aftermath of the whole Brady thing, you have Winston, you have Newton,
Yep.
And you have the Pats. Winston first. Is there a market for Winston, and if so, where?
As a starter, no. And I think, in a certain way, he got outfoxed a little bit by Marcus Mariota, and I think the Raiders would have been a nice landing spot for him in that, he'd get coached through John Gruden, you'd get a chance to develop a little bit more. They've got good quarterback infrastructure there, with Greg Olsen also there. And then, you'd have a chance maybe to play if Derek Carr falters. That's off the table now, but I think he needs to find a place that's similar to that. And part of that's going to be recalibrating expectations, knowing I'm not going to be a starter. I'm not going to make huge money. I need to go somewhere that's going to be good for me professionally, where I can develop for a year and put myself in a good position career-wise going forward. So, I thought all along, like Pittsburgh, if I were him.
Well, that seems to be that was what I was going to ask. The Steeler rumors are pretty loud. Now, everybody wanted to be the guy who was going to go challenge Trubisky in Chicago, but Foles wound up getting that job, and everyone, Newton would have liked it, Winston would have liked it. What do you think? Do you buy into these rumors about Winston to the Steelers?
I don't know if the Steelers would do it. I think Winston would be smart to go there. And look, like I think the Steelers are in an interesting spot that, it's weird to think, but Ben Roethlisberger, that class of 2004,
yep,
he's the only one left with his original team.
Yep.
Rivers is on the Colts now, and obviously Eli's retired. So, I think you look at where the Steelers are. No first-round pick. They traded that for Minkah Fitzpatrick. And really, Ben's committed to them for the next 2 years, but who knows where he's going to be from a playing standpoint over the next couple of years. They do have to start looking forward and kind of taking the approach like that. The next quarterback might be needed sooner than they think. So I certainly think starting to throw darts at that dartboard if you're the Steelers would be smart. Certainly I think somebody like Jameis Winston, who former first overall pick, somebody that you can take a look at and say, we bring him in here, we'll develop him in our system for a year, give him a stable environment, see where he goes from there.
Winston's going to have to eat humble pie, but nothing like the humble pie that Cam Newton's going to have to eat. I mean, Cam Newton, he has as we know, this is a guy who liked to consider himself Superman. We know how he thinks of himself. This is going to be hard. Do you sense that there's a market anywhere for Cam Newton?
Well, there are two levels to this one. All right. The first level to me is just the medical, which is difficult on him. And for the same reasons I just, raised with Tua, it's, he's got the right shoulder, he's got the left foot, and he's got 9 years of, playing a certain way that's, left his body beat up. And so, I think because of the circumstances that we're all in this country where you can't travel, that makes it tough on him because teams can't get their doctor's hands on him. And that's an issue for any injured player or any player with injury history right now. And then the second level to it is exactly what you're talking about. This is a guy who has been used to being the centerpiece wherever he's at. He's a blue chip recruit coming out of high school. Went to junior college, was a superstar there after things went the wrong way at Florida. And then, at Auburn, obviously he's there for 1 year, wins the Heisman, number one overall pick. He's a starter from day one in the NFL. So if this guy has to go and be the 20th guy on the roster, the 25th guy on the roster, how's he going to handle that?
Not well.
And if he's not, and that's the problem. You know what I mean? Like, Mike, is just like if you're the Chargers, right? If you're Anthony Lynn right now, and you're comfortable with Tyrod Taylor, maybe you're going to draft Justin Herbert or Tua Tagovailoa in the first round. Maybe that's your plan, right? Do you want to inject Cam Newton into that, where it could be problematic for your entire roster if he's not starting, And that's sort of the issue right now, is that he not only needs to convince somebody that he's going to be healthy, he also needs to convince somebody that, he can blend in with a team when he's not the guy. And that's what it makes that. I think that's what makes it a lot more difficult on him, where you almost feel like he's going to have to go somewhere where people know him. And I can tell you right now, the Redskins have no plan to pursue him. And that's obviously the connection there with Ron Rivera. And then in Buffalo, I guess it might make some sense for them to take a look at him. But do you really want to do that?
No, they're committed to that kid.
Right.
He's their guy. He's their guy.
Right.
Yeah, and
right.
he's going to be
so,
durable.
Like,
He's going to always be durable. That guy. He's a big, strong kid. He's going to be durable.
And you can't and that's the thing is if you bring in Cam behind him, how long before that's a problem?
Yes, I wouldn't like that scenario at all. I think it's hard to bring him in as a backup. He's not going to play well with others. I think he's going to be very hard. I think he really is. I think Winston might be able to do it. He might not, but I don't think there's any way Cam Newton does it. I think Cam Newton's going to be a real problem.
And you sort of wonder if maybe his best play is just to kind of wait this out, and see if somebody gets hurt during camp or something.
Maybe.
I know it sounds weird because we're talking about Cam Newton, but that might be the best play. I mean, Jay Cutler faced some of those same questions a few years ago, and he winds up going to the TV booth after the Bears got rid of him, and lo and behold, that summer Ryan Tannehill gets hurt and he winds up playing for the Dolphins that year. It's almost like you'd have to have a scenario like that play out for him to be handed the starting job anywhere right now. I don't think there's a place where you say, okay, he walks into there and maybe he's a starter. The Chargers are the one that makes some sense. But if the Chargers are going to draft a quarterback, if the plan is to draft a quarterback in April, I don't know that you really want to have that mix of a high first round pick coming in at the position, young, impressionable, and then you throw Cam Newton into the mix. I'm not sure that's what you'd be looking for.
How about the Pats? Now, I know how much the Pats and the Belichick camp and the Parcells camp, they love Jacoby Brissett. They always have. That's first of all, Parcells is like his father. So I mean, we know that relationship. I know he would love to see him get moved. He obviously not going to be in Indianapolis, or they don't need him there. Do you think that's where the Pats are going, or do you think the Pats have other plans?
I think he sticks in Indianapolis, actually, Mike, because Rivers is 38, and because Brissett obviously has a lot of experience in that system now, having played for Frank Reich for 2 going on 3 years.
So you think he stays there?
I think he stays there.
Okay.
He's got the cap space to do it. I think for them, I mean, look, part of the reason why they went with Rivers is because, and I know people have speculated on Brady. I'm just telling you, they never threw their hat in the ring on Brady, and the reason why was because they really believe in what they built the last few years there. And then
why don't they just go with Brissett?
And so, I think the idea is you want to raise the ceiling a little bit, give yourself a potential to do a little bit more in the short term. But I'm just telling you, and the luck thing threw them for a loop, no question about it. But they built a nice roster there. The roster's gotten better. A lot of the things we were saying about them a year ago, a lot of that stuff's still true. As far as what they've done in building that thing up. The problem is because of Luck's retirement, they've got a problem at quarterback, and so part of the reason they went with Rivers was this is a way to kind of keep the program moving forward because the offensive coordinator Nick Sirianni, the head coach Frank Reich have a close relationship with Philip, and so they know they can bring him in, they can keep things going forward for the next year or two with Philip in there. That buys them time to find the next quarterback. So that's sort of where they're at, and I think having extra insurance to that position when you've got an older player and Jacoby Brissett makes sense. And so my thought would be Brissett sticks with the Colts, and then I think you see the Patriots sort of tread water themselves where
play Stidham.
I think Stidham's ideally they like Stidham to get his shot. They're going to make him win the job. I can tell you they kind of sniffed around Kyle Allen, who got traded from Carolina to Washington yesterday. Obviously, brought Brian Hoyer back. Their economics at the position, I think they want those to change. And really, this year for them, I think it's going to be kind of, in part at least, about cleaning out their finances, where they're going to take on a bunch of dead money. They got $13.5 million in dead money off the Brady contract, and sort of reset. So going into 2021, they're cleaner financially, I think the idea here would be, over the next couple of years, finding your next quarterback, giving Stidham the chance to be that guy if he's not finding someone else. And then you go forward with the sort of financial advantage that, the Eagles and the Chiefs and the Rams have rode to Super Bowls over the last few years, where you've got a quarterback on a rookie contract and you can build the team differently around him.
How about them trading up and going to get Tua?
That would be fun, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I just don't know. I just don't know if they'd be able. I don't know if they've got the capital to get that far up. I think they picked 23rd in the first round. They're somewhere around there.
No, they'd have to give up most of their draft to get him.
Yeah, I mean, but God, I mean, you know what? It makes some sense because Tua does have quality.
And they also deal with the Lions are all their guys.
Yeah, I mean, so decision making, the ability to move in the pocket, like Tua has a lot of the things that Bill and Josh look for.
He'd be perfect for them. He'd be perfect for them. He would. And Saban and he knows them well too.
Yeah.
The question is, can they get him? That would be the question.
And Nick loves, and you know this. Nick loves him. Nick's going to give him a glowing review.
Loves him.
To Bill.
Absolutely loves him.
I just don't know. I mean, here's part of the problem for the Patriots, Mike, is that they're old in so many different areas. They've got so many areas that they've got to get younger in. I just don't know if they can afford to just sell the farm to get one player right now. I don't know that Bill would do that. But certainly I think if they were in a position to take him, yes. And my biggest question would be whether or not they've got the capital to pull it off.
And I know that Saban feels that if he's healthy, he's going to be a huge star. The question is, they just don't know if he's going to stand up. They don't know if he's going to be durable enough to play, but they know that he's going to be a star if he plays. They know that.
Well,
and who knows if he's going to be healthy enough? We just don't know.
The coaches that have been through so scouts go through there, and the scouts will talk to the coaches and everything else. And what the coaches have told the scouts over the last couple of years is they really believe that Tua projects to be like a left-handed Drew Brees in the NFL. He's that type of player.
Yeah, a cross between him and Russell Wilson, and that's pretty nice praise. It really is.
Yeah. And so they think the world of him, and it'll be interesting to see. Like you said, the durability is a huge question.
Huge question. How about Clowney? You think Clowney goes back to Seattle?
I think he does wind up back in Seattle. He's facing some, to some degree, the same issue Cam is, in that he's had microfracture surgery. His body's really beat up, and the fact that he can't go and get on a plane and take a physical with another team, I think really hurts him. So he's one where that has an effect on him. And the other part of it is, of course, his expectations, and that in the end in Houston, he wanted $20 million a year. He wanted what Frank Clark and DeMarcus Lawrence and all those guys got. When it wasn't there, when the Texans were unwilling to do that, it was a problem. And so I think part of this, and part of the reason he's still out there, in addition to the injury history, is the fact that his expectations were set so high financially that a lot of teams just sort of said, we're okay, we'll pass on that. And so I think there's a potential there. Maybe he makes the decision, I'm going to go back to Seattle on a one-year deal, and that way, if I play really well, maybe I can hit it big on the market next year. But I don't think that big, again, like the Frank Clark, DeMarcus Lawrence type of deal that he had been eyeing since last summer. I don't think that deal's out there for him.
Albert, we're talking about Albert Breer, of course. One last one, the Jets. Robbie Anderson, which I think is a good thing, goes to the Panthers for 2 years. Okay, yep. There are so many wide receivers in this draft. This is the deepest wide receiver draft of all time, and we're talking about starters, stars, everything. After the combines, any change in who you think the best one is, or there's a lot of debate as to who the best one is. Some people like Lamb now. Who do you think is the guy? Of all the guys, I mean, there's 3 or 4 that are very close. Which one do you like?
Yeah, so it's sort of like there's part of it that sort of depends on what you're looking for. Like CeeDee Lamb, I think is sort of seen as like a DeAndre Hopkins type. Jerry Jeudy, I've heard him compared to Marvin Harrison as a route runner.
Great route runner. Route runner.
And then you got Henry Ruggs, who is small, but like smaller, really fast guys, and he's a 4.2 guy. smaller guys like that can just run by everybody.
Yep.
Like now, all of a sudden, because of the success the Chiefs have had with Tyreek Hill, those guys have greater value, And so I think it sort of depends on who you talk to. I mean, some people will say you're better off taking one in the second round because there's going to be some really good players.
No question. Even the third round. But the Jets need to get a good one now. They need a good one. And they can justify taking one when they pick. They really could. There's one, and they're going to get their pick maybe of the whole litter. And there are some great wide receivers in this draft.
Yeah, well, then that's going to be what's interesting about the position the Jets are in. So I think ultimately Judy and Lamb are going to be the first two off the board, one after the other. I'm not sure which one goes first. I think those will probably be the first two off the board. What I would tell you, Mike, is the Jets are going to be in this interesting position where they've sort of kind of reimagined their offensive line all the way around.
Yep.
So they still need a left tackle.
Listen, they still need a stud, and they can take a stud on the first round and take a wide receiver on the second round and still hit a home run, but they're not going to get one of the special ones then.
And that's what I'm thinking is that, and it sort of depends, too, because the tackles got hot in Indianapolis, right? So you get the four guys at the top of the draft, Andrew Thomas from Georgia, Tristan Wirfs from Iowa, Mekhi Becton from Louisville.
Yep.
And who am I missing? There's one I'm blanking right now. Jedrick Wills from Alabama.
So I like Becton, who's enormous, but I think the Iowa kid's the best of the bunch.
So all four of them probably go. Like all four of them did well. All four of them, I think, have a shot to go in the top 10 picks.
Right.
So the Jets are right there on the fringes.
Right. They could definitely get it. They can definitely get a top lineman. There's no question.
Right. And the question is going to be, do you take the third or fourth tackle or do you take the first receiver? That could be the question. And I think the Jets are going to be facing the reality that a lot of teams are, which is, and this could wind up hurting Judy and Lamb, where teams at the top of the draft are going to say, let's fill our pass rusher need or our tackle need or whatever it might be, and then go back in the second round and get a receiver there. And so, I think that there's a big potential that it plays out the way you're kind of laying it out there, Mike, where they decide we're going to take our tackle there. I believe they're 10 or 11, right? I think they're at 11.
And there's going to be a very good offensive lineman there for them for sure. And because the Giants are going to most likely take a defensive player on the first pick. I mean, that's going to be so. The quarterbacks are going off, so you pretty much know that you're going to have the defensive guys and the quarterbacks off in the first 7 picks.
You have, you've got 4 elite defensive guys
and 3 quarterbacks.
And 3 quarterbacks,
Yep.
So you got Young, Derek Brown, Jeff Okudah,
and Simmons, and
Isaiah Simmons as the defensive elite. Those 4, and then you got the 3 quarterbacks, Herbert, Tua, and of course Burrow.
Yep.
So those 7 go, and you're probably looking at least one of the tackles flipping to you. And I mean, Mike, like you said earlier, I think there's a good chance the logic for the Jets is let's get our tackle in 11. And then we'll turn around and we can still get a really, really good receiver.
Or maybe trade up, and then in the middle of the first round still get the wide receiver.
Yeah. And I think that's sort of the makeup of this draft.
Because they need the wide receiver too.
And hey, Mike, if you want to look seriously, go back and look at the last few years. Teams have done this. This is another thing that I think is going to be at play. There have been some really good second-round receivers the last few years. Mike Thomas from New Orleans, DJ Chark from Jacksonville, the 2 Ole Miss kids last year. DK Metcalf.
Hey, there's going to be stars at wide receiver this year in the second round. Absolutely.
So the Jets could get their tackle in the first round and then get a really, really good receiver in the second round, no question.
All right, listen, good to talk to you. We'll talk again before the draft. Thanks very much.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Albert Breer. Let me come back with Eddie C. right after this. How surprised, Eddie, with this? Did you hear rumblings or anything?
No.
Or are you surprised by this?
Shocked. I think it's kind of hard to be shocked by anything these days and the times we're in, but this was shocking to me. Really stunning. He did not exhibit, any semblance of pain or any problems during spring training.
And according to Olczyk, he was complaining for a while, I guess, behind the scenes.
Well, apparently behind the scenes he must have been, not to us, and because he threw well this spring. He actually, I think he ended up with 11 strikeouts over 8 innings. He didn't walk a batter, which has been a problem for him in the past. He threw well in his side sessions. He threw once on the backfield as well. Threw well then. Anytime that we saw him, he was fine, and he's never said there were no problems. I don't think we even brought up the question of whether he had any pain because, he never exhibited that, not even in warm-up sessions and bullpen sessions. So it certainly was a shock to us. That's for sure.
All right, Eddie. What does that mean now? As far as now they have obviously candidates. We know who that. There's
Right.
they have Matz, who we wondered whether he was going to be in the rotation. Although I thought he would be. You have Lugo. You have Lugo. Do you just slide Lugo into the rotation?
No, you put Walker in there, I think, and you leave Lugo in the bullpen.
Oh, okay.
That's what I think they'll do.
Okay.
Because they had 6 into 5.
Lugo
basically.
wants to start, though, doesn't he?
He does. There's no question he does. But here's the other thing, Mike. And listen, we're way ahead of ourselves because we have no idea if they're going to play baseball.
I think they'll. I really believe they'll play baseball.
Well,
it might not be
too.
till June, but I think they'll play baseball.
Right. I do too. I don't know what kind of truncated season you're going to have, but here's the thing. When they do schedule, chances are you're probably going to have double headers in there. Where this is a blow to me for the Mets is it hurts their depth because now you've got, instead of having 6 guys and Walker as a plus that you can move in and out of the bullpen or into the rotation, now you've got to put him in the rotation. You have a Lugo who you can use for multiple innings, possibly in doubleheader situations, but chances are you may end up playing a doubleheader a week at this rate when they're trying to make up games. So to me, it hurts their depth. They have guys, Walker, Lockett, Oswalt, Erasmo Ramirez, a veteran who was in camp and looked pretty good. They have guys like that, but I don't know if you can say, hey, those are lock solid guys that you can really count on. Their depth, but how much of depth it begs to be seen at this point in time.
All right, so you think right now that it's Walker stepping in with Matz and that Lugo stays in the pen?
Yes, I think that's the way they've always wanted to do it. I know that Lugo wants to start.
He really does badly. He wants to start.
He may view this as another opportunity in that sense, but to me, I think they have to make sure that the bullpen is solid, and that's going to be something they can rely on this year. And I think if you take Lugo out, you endanger that to put him in the rotation at this point in time. Here's the thing, and how the Syndergaard thing really hurts to me. Syndergaard was giving every indication that he was going to step in right behind DeGrom this year and be that guy. Last year, the Mets had DeGrom, and they basically, for the second half of the season, had a 1A in Zach Wheeler. They've lost Wheeler, and Syndergaard, I think they hoped would be that 1 and 1A with DeGrom this year. He's not there now. So Stroman, Matz, Walker, those guys have to step up now at this point in time. Porcello, can they? We'll see. It's not a bad rotation. I'm not saying it's a bad rotation. It's still a pretty solid rotation, but I think it's a big blow for them.
It really is. I mean, Lugo is a guy who could step in and win a lot of games. He really could, but he is very valuable in the pen. What were you hearing about Betances?
I think he hasn't gotten to the point, or at least when we broke spring training, he wasn't at the point where he was really going all out. He was throwing. He was feeling pain free. The Achilles did not bother him at all, which was something I worried about. But he said that was of no concern whatsoever. He was just worried about getting his velocity back. That wasn't quite there. He was throwing 89, 90, maybe 91, thereabouts, and he's a guy that can crank it up to 95, 96 or so. And I think that will come with him eventually, but right now it wasn't there. The extra time, that helps. Extra time helps a lot of people. It helps Michael Conforto, who had an oblique strain. It helps Cespedes. It helps a lot of guys with the Mets and probably other teams as well, too, Mike. But I think Betances will come along. If they can get a solid Betances, the Betances of old, and you get Diaz, turning himself around this season, along with Familia, who looked very good in spring training with the 30 pounds lost, and he was throwing the ball real well. You get those 3 at the end of the game, that's a good bullpen. So that will help if that comes around.
Eddie, I haven't really paid attention to this. What is the let's take the Mets as an example.
Yep.
What have the players been doing? Are they staying have they stayed in Florida? Have they gone home? If I went and polled a team, where are most teams right now? Are they in Florida and Arizona, or have the players gone home?
Yeah, it's hard to say. Like with the Mets, a lot of guys have places in Port St. Lucie that they have second homes.
Right, because it's enough of the year they spend there now that's it's a good place to have a house.
And,
so yes,
Jacob deGrom is probably about somewhere between 2.5 hours away thereabouts. So he's probably home, but he could come to the complex if he went. Now the complexes are closed. I don't know if they can actually let them in and warm up there.
So they can't go there and work out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that they are in touch with them. They're all on a program. They're trying to keep on a throwing program. I'm sure deGrom is, because he's very fastidious about that, and I'm sure most of the other pitchers are too. But I can't tell you per se how many guys are in Florida and in Port St. Lucie, or whether they're home at this point in time. They're kind of scattered to the winds, I think, at this point.
And what are you thinking? I mean, I've always used the rule of thumb: 2 days for every week off they need to get ready. I mean, at this time of year, might even be a little more than that. So you got to figure they're going to need at least a week to 2 weeks to get ready, minimum, when they get ready to start. If they give them a start date. And they get their schedule together. Like if the president gives them an all clear and they say pick May 1st as their start date, you got to figure they need at least 2 weeks in Florida, right?
Yeah, no, I think at least 2 weeks. I know that the Toronto GM said that he was looking at a 4-week spring training, which to me is a lot, especially when you've missed.
It is a lot.
Going to miss a good chunk of the season.
Yeah, that's too much.
I don't know I don't know what kind of numbers they're looking at, whether it's 100, 110. Games in the season. I have no idea how they're going to work this all out. But I would think you need at the minimum 2 weeks to get back, because the most important thing in spring training is getting the pitchers back up to speed so that they can throw 100 pitches. Now, normally you need 2 innings, 3 innings, 4 innings. They may have to speed that up a little bit, and it depends exactly where they're going to be when they get back too. We probably don't know that, but over the course of those 2 weeks or so, and maybe it's a little bit more, they're going to have to go out and throw 3, 4, 5 innings or so each time. So it's a little difficult to gauge at this point in time, but you're going to need at least 2 weeks, I would think.
All right, Eddie, thanks.
Okay, Mike.
Stay safe. We'll see you. Okay.
Yep.
All right, Eddie C. on Syndergaard. So there you go. He thinks Lugo stays in the pen and Walker and Matz go into the rotation. As the news, of course, that Syndergaard gets Tommy John. And here's where the Mets, Syndergaard, and HSS have got to use their noodle, okay? This is where they were just plain stupid. Announce it, fine. But remember, we are in very delicate times right now. People are having elective surgeries canceled right and left. Hospitals are overflowing with people who are ill now with the virus. Hospitals are in a very tough way right now, overcrowded, having to jam beds in, using the Jacob Javits Center for 1,000 beds. Okay, we understand all the problems that are going on with medical equipment and everything else. You do not then announce that your big star baseball player is having elective surgery on Thursday, you dummies. What do you expect? You're going to get people furious, and they are. They're going crazy everywhere. How does he get elective surgery? I thought the hospitals closed to elective surgery. Blah, 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 blah. And you know what? They're right. The people are right. Don't rub it in their nose. Don't rub it in their face. Shut up and give him the surgery, and don't say a word about it. Let people guess when he got the surgery. In 2 weeks from now, you can say he already had the surgery. But to announce that your big baseball star is getting elected, we all know why he's getting the surgery. Olczyk is the guy who runs the hospital, and he's Syndergaard. So he's getting treated special. I mean, that's the real world, okay? We all know it. Just like every basketball player got tested. Of course they got tested. They are part of the property of the team. Their bodies are important. Their health is important. They are not treated like normal people. We know that. But in this time, you do not want to have everybody go crazy because you're dumb enough to announce that your star pitcher is getting elective surgery on Thursday in this climate in New York City. And hospital surgery has canceled all their surgeries. I know that for a fact because obviously I'm very close to Dr. O'Brien, who's been a colleague of Olczyk for 20 years. I know all Czech. But, hey, it's not their fault. I'm not blaming anybody there, but don't rub it in people's faces. And you wonder why, social media is blowing up over it. Because right now, people don't want to see people getting special treatment. They're worried about themselves, and rightly so. So shut up and do it quietly. Don't announce he's having elective surgery Thursday. Well, great. That's really smart to announce. How dumb are you? Typical Mets, though, when it comes to making sure to make the dumb statement. I mean, be quiet about it. Announce that he's got a problem, but don't announce when the surgery is in this climate. And everybody's going nuts about him getting elective surgery when no one else is getting elective surgery. I understand that. They're right. You can understand how people are feeling right now. The truth of the matter, folks, why is he getting elective surgery? Because he's a star baseball player. That's why. We all know the truth. But very dumb of special surgery and the Mets to announce it. Just be quiet. Why rub people's noses in it? Come on, be smarter than that. Really, I mean, just come on. I mean, you got to be smarter than that. It's just not, you just got to realize sometimes, I mean, if you go down and look now, Susan sent me a bunch of the responses. I mean, the people are going crazy. And rightly so. They have a reason to be mad. You brought this on yourselves if you're the Mets and special surgery. You didn't need to announce that he's having that. Very dumb, especially in this climate. Now, a couple of things. Number one, why hunger? We always do all the stuff with the charity and everything, World Hunger Year. Why Hunger's Rapid Response Fund provides immediate support to those most impacted by hunger and poverty during the crisis. Visit whyhunger.org/rapid response. That's to either donate, and they need donations, or to get food. Same place. So if you need their help, they're there. If you can help them, they're there. Okay? Now, WFAN is helping you to stay connected. They want to remind you, you know what? To stay home. If you're sick and you're not feeling well, stay home. And if it continues, if it persists for a period of days, and you feel it as far as your breathing goes, and your temperature is anywhere over 102 for a couple of days, then go to your doctor and get checked. The hospital should be your last quarter last resort now, though. First, act like it's the flu. And remember when the flu comes, you feel lousy. Okay? You do. You feel miserable. But unless your breathing gets really impacted, just stay home, drink plenty of liquids, and just treat it like you're having the flu. But if that persists or it's different this time, and you know it's different this time, then get to your doctor. And he'll take it from there. But don't just show up knocking on the door at the hospital, because that's not going to work. Okay? And remember, all the stuff that you're supposed to do. All right? Wash your hands. Distance yourself from other people. Really what you want to do is just stay home. I hate to say it. And if for some reason you can't stay home and you have a job that's vital, I understand that, then just make sure you're using every safety measure you can to keep yourself healthy and keep your loved ones healthy. That's basically it. I talked to a doctor today, and he really felt that if we are really vigilant in staying home and practicing what they're telling us to practice for 14 legitimate days in this country, that we cut the travel, that we cut travel between states, that we stay off the planes and stay off the trains and stay out of the subway and stay home and stay out of the stores, and we do it for 14 consecutive days, he really believes it will break the back of the virus. That it will pay incredible dividends. And that if in just 2 weeks' time of being that vigilant, that we will see enormous changes in the number of cases. I think a lot of people are practicing it. Everybody can do better. We all can do better. Stay at home if you can. Only go out if it's a necessity. I understand you're already hearing about getting back to work and all the different things. You know what is being said. You know what the president's saying. You know what's going on. Okay? You know what the plan's going to be. All right? Oh, good. I see Dr. Fauci's back tonight. I was looking at the press conference now. He's back. He needed to be back. They needed him back today. Good to see him back. Because he's kind of the conscience of the whole thing. They needed him back. A lot of people thought because he disagreed with the president the other day that he was kind of benched. But look, he's back. That's good. He'll tell the country when they can go back to work. But before that, we need to get the testing out. We need to get the equipment to everybody. And anything anybody can do, do it. Whatever you can do in your community, do it. Check in on the old people around you. Bring them a meal. Go to the store for somebody. Maybe not to the store, but, if you can walk to the store, that's great. Just, do what you can do. Be considerate and be thoughtful and take care of yourself and your families. And we'll all get through this. Hey, there's nobody this hasn't impacted. Nobody. There's no business this hasn't impacted. There's no person this hasn't impacted. This is something none of us could have even fathomed, as we know. So let's just hang in there the best we can. And we'll get out, before long, we'll be worried about, the relief pitcher who couldn't hold the lead in the ninth. And man, why did he bring that pitcher in? And can you believe that call? And why did the Jets draft this guy? And what are the Giants thinking? And on and on and on, and all the stuff that we like to worry about. All the stuff that we get mad about, which really doesn't amount to anything, but that we like thinking about. We'll get back to that stuff. And we'll get back to the things that we kind of dream about right now, like a nice, June morning on a golf course, or a hot July night at the ballpark, at the stadium, with a good team in, and a big pitcher on the mound, or a sunny 85-degree August day at Saratoga, where there isn't a more beautiful place in the world to be. All right, Liz in East Northport starts us off. Go ahead, Liz.
Hi, how are you?
Good. What's happening?
That this guy, this baseball player, Noah Syndergaard, is getting elective surgery.
He is.
I question his patriotism.
Come on. That's not fair.
No, I'm a healthcare worker waiting for a knee replacement.
Right.
A knee replacement.
Right. Well, you
Scheduled
can, but you don't. But listen, but you don't have to have that knee replacement this week.
No, I do. I'm a healthcare worker. I am not weight bearing. Cannot work out on disability.
Well, yeah, but you're going to be out for the next 3 or 4 months anyway, though.
No, I am not. I'm going to be out for 12 weeks. I have to be back at work at 12 weeks.
Well, but listen, I've had a knee replacement. It's going to take you a while to come back. It is.
I went to the hospital special surgery at first. I was refused.
Right. Well, they're not allowed to do any surgeries. Listen, I agree with you, but I wouldn't bring his patriotism into this, okay? The Mets made a mistake here. Special surgery made a mistake here. We all know, and this is, Liz, listen, I understand you're annoyed, and now I understand doubly why you're annoyed, because they canceled your elective surgery. You're right. You're 100% right. Now, I think you're going to be out a little longer than you think, because I don't think you can be on your feet 8 hours for probably 3 or 4 months minimum after a knee replacement, okay? That's asking a lot. And thanks for the work you do, because it's important right now. And they wish they could get you back, because they need you. But you need a knee replacement, so you needed to wait. Now, they canceled your knee replacement, which I understand. They canceled everybody's knee replacement. That's why the Mets and special surgery goofed. Are they going to take care of their star athlete? Yes. Is it going to cripple the resources of the hospital to do that? No. But they shouldn't rub it in people's face. It was just patently, from a public relations standpoint, a complete dumb decision. It was a complete gaffe to announce that publicly. He'll have his elective surgery on Thursday. Oh, great. What you want to broadcast it? Why don't you make sure that it's announced every day until Thursday that he's having it so that more people can get ticked off? Okay? You're right. I wouldn't it doesn't have anything to do with Noah's patriotism. Noah's needs surgery. They want to get it they're looking at it as we get the surgery so that's the quicker we can get him back. There is a residual advantage to getting him the surgery. That's how fast he gets back to the team. The faster we get him the surgery, the quicker he's back next year. We'd like to have him for opening day next year, so we'd like to get this done immediately. We understand that. Just don't broadcast it. Because people are going to get mad. And rightly so, because they're not allowed to have elective surgery right now. So don't announce it. Just be quiet. How stupid are you? I understand, just like I understand why the players are going to always be tested first. Their bodies are part of the machinery of the team. That owner spends billions of dollars or has billions of dollars tied up in terms of value in those players. He needs to care for them. Their bodies are their machines. They are going to take care of them. They're going to check them. They're going to get them tests, just like they get special treatment physically and medically every day of their lives. We all know that's true. And they're going to get it now. They're not normal. So we know that. But don't broadcast it. I mean, to announce, to basically put out a release that he's getting a surgery Thursday, how dumb are you? Shut up. Don't announce that he's having a surgery. That's why you got people going crazy. And the people are right. But the reality is, folks, the reason they want to get him the surgery is Dr. Olczyk, that's his hospital, okay? He's the boss there. He's going to go in, do a quickie surgery, and get it over with no, it's not that big a deal. Just don't announce it. If you had a car accident tonight and you needed Dr. Olczyk or Dr. O'Brien to fix you, they will be right there to do it at special surgery. Just like if you needed if you needed Dr. Schlafmitz at St. Francis tonight to save your life, he's going to do the heart procedure to save your life. But he's not going to do one that he can wait a month for. We know that. They're still allowed to do the life-saving ones, and for time is of the essence with Syndergaard because the quicker they get him the surgery, the quicker he comes back. That's why they're doing it. Just don't announce it and tick people off. Have a deft touch, but the Mets never do when it comes to public relations. Have a smart. They need to be schooled. And it's just dumb on their part. Don't announce it, because people have a right to get angry. And you know what? If you were waiting for as she was, as Liz was, if you were waiting for elective surgery and special surgery, you'd be mad too. Mark and Belmore, real quick, what's up?
I hope everybody gets back to work soon and get back to normal.
I agree, Mark.
With the sports here calling in, at least it's a distraction from everything. But in regard to Syndergaard, that's now completes the rotation of the Mets when you had Harvey and everyone. Now everyone had the Tommy John. And in regard to his surgery, I personally don't have a problem with him getting the surgery or anything like that.
They're not like you said, why they just don't announce it. Just don't announce it.
Just do it, and then a month or two from now, you could say he had it.
Bingo.
And then by then.
No, and then, Mark, no one will care. I agree with you. Bingo. Don't announce it. Don't tick people off. Go get him the surgery. I understand they're going to get him the surgery because the quicker they get him the surgery, the quicker he's back. Okay? He's going to get the surgery. But the bottom line is don't announce it and tick everybody off. Casamigos Tequila brings you the program as it does each and every evening, and we thank them for that. Brought to you by those who drink it.